Coming up, death and destruction is now left behind in the aftermath of dozens of tornadoes that rolled through 6 states. And a photo belonging to a Kentucky family travels for miles through the storm's high winds. We'll tell you where it was found. Plus, snow in Minnesota brought on by the storms that caused those destructive tornadoes highlights a stranger's kindness. Valley News Live at 10 starts now.
This is Valley News Live at 10.
Good evening and thanks for sticking with us for this late edition of Valley News Live at 10. Death and destruction. That's what officials and residents are dealing with after more than 24 tornadoes struck 6 states this weekend. Here's the latest.
Parts of Kentucky now unrecognizable after a deadly tornado outbreak hammered the state.
It's just something you don't think is going to happen in your own community. So you just can't take things for granted.
State officials say the severe weather killed more than 80 people, but the death toll is expected to rise.
That number is going to exceed more than 100. This is the deadliest tornado event we have ever had. I think it's going to be the longest and deadliest tornado event in U.S. history.
The tornado outbreak also killed more than a dozen people in Arkansas, Tennessee, Missouri, and Illinois, where 6 people died in the partial collapse of an Amazon facility.
We really want to make sure that we find anybody who still might be trapped in the rubble across all of these states. But then it's going to be a long recovery, and we really need to focus on how we're going to help these communities with their immediate needs, their immediate sheltering needs.
The recovery effort has already started, with some residents pitching in to help their neighbors.
We just decided we'd just go and see where and if we could go, and if there was a place where we could help some people.
The director of Kentucky Emergency Management says the storm tracked more than 200 miles. New satellite images gave a new perspective of the shocking damage caused by tornadoes in Mayfield, Kentucky. This is what downtown Mayfield looked like before devastating tornadoes tore through the area. And this is what downtown Mayfield looks like now. Also, here's a look at the Mayfield Consumer Products candle factory before the tornado. Now the building is completely flattened. About 110 people were working inside that factory when the tornado came through. So far, there are 8 confirmed deaths at the factory. And according to the Graves County coroner, there are still at least 40 people unaccounted for. The candle factory CEO has since spoken out and is now asking for prayers.
You know, a building can be rebuilt. It's these families' lives and everything that's going to be changed forever. But this town is resilient. Kentucky as a state is resilient. But at the same time, we just need prayers and support.
The CEO says the factory had been open for more than 25 years before a tornado tore through. And volunteer crews have started the enormous task of clearing up debris from leveled homes. Debris from destroyed buildings and shredded trees covers the ground in Mayfield, Kentucky, a city of about 10,000 people. Twisted metal sheeting, downed power lines, and wrecked vehicles line the streets. Rescue efforts are also becoming more complicated because Mayfield's main fire station and emergency services hub were also hit by the tornado, according to state officials. New drone video shows some of the widespread devastation left behind after part of an Amazon warehouse collapsed in Illinois. At least 6 people have died and more than 40 people made it out safely, but the search for survivors continues.
It's pretty much still like disbelief, because some of the people that is in there or that was trapped in there, you talk to them or you could have, dealt with them while it was helping you dealing with packages. So it's like hearing the names that was listed off as they was trying to get a head count, and the people that was missing, it's like you just don't even know who was still in there or who had passed. So it's kind of like it's a lot of disbelief.
The 6 people who died in the devastation have since been identified. The victims are between the ages of 26 and 62. And the same storm that pushed those tornadoes through Kentucky and Illinois rolled through Minnesota, dumping more than 20 inches of snow in some areas. This is the scene in Rochester as snow began to blanket the area late Friday evening. And that snow caused a bit of trouble with travel for some people. A Fargo teen was surprised with tickets for his birthday to the Army versus Navy football game at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey yesterday. But the snow caused delays and he was afraid he wasn't going to make the game. Valley News Team's Alex Larson shares how a stranger's kindness made for an unforgettable birthday trip.
Trisha and Eric Eisendorf told their son Gabriel he'd be going to the Army versus Navy football game the day before they left as a 16th birthday gift. Trisha says Gabriel has been a military as well as football fan for as long as she can remember.
It has been his dream, his lifelong 16-year-old dream.
But the winter weather was becoming a problem.
And then it just started to snow really hard. Our flight just got canceled and canceled and canceled and canceled.
At one point, Gabriel and his dad thought they were going to miss the entire game. At the last minute, they were let on the plane, but they would still be missing part of the game.
I was feeling a little upset, more upset than anything really, just because this year has been really crazy already.
So his mom back home wanted to do something to help.
This was a big opportunity for him, and he was potentially going to miss it.
She called MetLife Stadium, and to her surprise,
he said, "Don't worry, we got ya." And I didn't know what that meant, but just hoped that something would happen.
I see these ladies, and they're all waving, and I look kind of like behind me just to see like who they're waving to, because I thought they were just family of someone. My dad looked over at me and was like, kind of pointed over to them and was like, go over there.
Merchandise was sold out at the game, but the staff saved some just for Gabriel.
That was crazy. I thought I wasn't smiling. Well, I was smiling. I didn't know what to do. I was overwhelmed with joy.
Gabriel got to meet high-ranking officers, players, and coaches. He was also given a coveted battalion from a 3-star general of the Army Special Operations.
I like football a lot. I like the military a lot. I want to do stuff once I graduate. I want to be in the military once I graduate.
Alex Larson, Valley News Live.
As his mom said, Operation Birthday was a mission accomplished. Meanwhile, a new life for the Africa nightclub is inching closer to a reality. A special liquor control board meeting is being held tomorrow to discuss the background check for the nightclub's new manager and the potential business plan for the establishment's revitalization. The liquor control board previously requested this review to provide insight before issuing the liquor license, thus completing the license transfer to its new ownership. The meeting is being held tomorrow in the City Commission chambers at noon. Presidents Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin are agreeing to meet for more discussions. The two held a virtual call last week as Russia beefs up its military presence along the Ukrainian border. In a Russian state broadcast, Putin told Biden, quote, "We will definitely meet. I would really like that." As a result of the meeting, both leaders are tasking their respective teams with looking into Ukraine matter. Biden and Putin agreed that it would be necessary to meet after those consultations took place. Democrats are going to do everything they can to get President Joe Biden's Build Back Better Act passed by Christmas. Today, Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar said negotiations are in full swing.
We have to get this done, Jay. And Senator Manchin is still at the negotiating table. There is no doubt about that. I am all in on getting it done by Christmas, and we'll do everything to get it done.
Senator Manchin is a moderate Democrat who has voiced some reservations about the proposal. His support of the legislation is key to the plan being passed. Manchin signaled last week he had not yet made up his mind about the bill. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Sources closest to her say the 81-year-old will stay put through the midterm elections, which would extend her nearly two-decade role as the top Democrat in the House. There are also reports among insiders that Pelosi may consider keeping her leadership role after 2022, although some House Democrats say they would like to see a new person take the leadership spot. Later on Valley News Live, after the destruction of this weekend's tornadoes, a photo belonging to a Kentucky family is found more than 100 miles away. But up next, summer is in with a first look at your weather.